So, when you think about money, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, our culture has kind of drilled this one idea into us, right? That money is the root of all evil. It's this corrupting force, basically the ultimate villain in the human story.
And you know, who could frame that idea better than the master storyteller himself, William Shakespeare? I mean, listen to this. He called gold a yellow slave that can knit and break religions, bless the accursed. It can literally turn wrong into right and ugly into beautiful. That is a seriously powerful accusation, and it's one that has stuck with us for centuries.
But here's the big question. Is that really fair? Is money actually the villain here? Or is there, maybe, another side to the story we're missing? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. Let's find out.
All right, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to travel back in time. I'm talking way back, to a world that had no money at all. Can you even imagine that? What would that life even look like?
Okay, so life before money, it was all about bartering, direct exchange. And for a barter to work, you need this thing economists call a double coincidence of wants. Now, that sounds super fancy, but it's actually a really simple and really important idea. It just means that I have to want exactly what you have, and at the very same time, you have to want exactly what I have. As you can probably guess, getting those two things to line up is, well, it's a pretty tall order.
Let's put it this way. Imagine you're a hunter, and you've got a rabbit to trade. What you really want is some fish. So you find a fisherman, but, surprise, he doesn't want your rabbit. He's looking for salt. So the deal's off. You're just stuck, right? Your only hope is to go find a salt merchant who just so happens to want a rabbit, make that trade, and then go all the way back to the fisherman. It's just so complicated, totally inefficient, and it pretty much comes down to pure dumb luck.
So you can see how this constant problem, all these trades that just couldn't happen, was really holding humanity back. But, you know, we're a clever bunch. We came up with an absolutely brilliant solution. A new technology, really, that was about to change, well, everything.
And that revolutionary invention? It was money. But here's the thing. It wasn't just invented one day. It was the slow, incredible evolution of a technology over thousands of years. We started with what's called commodity money, things like cattle, salt, even pretty shells. From there, we moved on to standardized metal coins. Then came a massive breakthrough, paper money. And now, today, most of our money is electronic, right? It's really just digital information. And with every single step, the whole process of exchange just got easier and way more efficient.
But of course, this whole evolution wasn't exactly a smooth ride. Those early metal coins led to this really fascinating peek into human behavior called Gresham's Law. So get this, when governments started making coins, sometimes they'd cheat. They'd reduce the amount of actual gold or silver in them. But people weren't dumb. They could totally tell which coins were the real deal and which were debased. So what did they do? They'd hoard the good coins, the ones with more metal, and spend the bad ones as fast as they could. And over time, this meant that only the junky, less valuable money was left floating around. Bad money drives out good. It literally happened.
And speaking of big steps in this evolution, the next huge leap forward was paper money. Now here's a wild fact for you. The very first paper money, called jiaozi, actually showed up in China way back in the 11th century. That's over 600 years before it really caught on in Europe. For its time, that was an absolutely mind-blowing concept.
Okay, so we've established that money was invented to solve a huge problem. But what does it actually do for us? I mean, what are its fundamental jobs in an economy? Let's break it down.
Well, economists will tell you it has four main jobs. First, and this is the big one, it's a medium of exchange. That's its original purpose, solving that whole barter mess. Second, it's a unit of account, which is like a universal measuring stick for value. Third, it's a store of value, so you can actually save up the wealth you create. And finally, number 4, it's a standard of deferred payment. That's just a fancy way of saying it lets us do things like borrow and lend money for loans and mortgages.
Let's just double-click on that unit of account job for a second, because it's huge. Without it, pricing is just absolute chaos. Think about it. One fish is worth 3 bags of salt, but 1 bag of salt is worth a third of a rabbit. Your head would spin. How are you supposed to compare the value of anything? You can't, not without a massive headache. Every single thing needs a price in terms of every other single thing.
But then, introduce money as that common unit of account, and boom, everything just snaps into focus. A fish is $8, salt is $2, venison is 16, a rabbit is 6. See? Everything has one price. You can instantly compare value, make smart decisions, and actually get business done. It's simple, it's clear, and it is incredibly powerful.
All right, so
We've seen that money was invented to solve problems and make life better, and we've seen the absolutely essential jobs that it does for us. Which brings us back to the beginning. It's time to reach our final verdict.
So let's ask that question one more time. Is money the villain? I think this analogy really just hits the nail on the head. Think about a kitchen knife. You can use it to chop vegetables for a beautiful meal, or you could use it to commit a terrible crime. We don't blame the knife, do we? Of course not. We blame the person holding it. The tool itself is completely neutral. It's the intent of the user that matters.
And that's the crucial takeaway here. Money is a technology. It's a tool. It doesn't create greed or envy or ambition. Those things are already inside us. Money just provides a really powerful and efficient way for those human traits to be expressed. And by unlocking complex trade and allowing people to specialize, you could argue it became one of the most important inventions in all of human history. It's the engine that makes our modern world possible.
And you know, just to offer a counterpoint to Shakespeare's pretty dark take on all this, let's hear from the ancient Chinese historian Sima Qian. He had a totally different perspective. He actually believed that having wealth could make people more virtuous. His idea was that when people become prosperous, good qualities like benevolence and righteousness will naturally follow. That's a complete 180 from the whole money is the root of all evil idea, isn't it?
So in the end, maybe money isn't the hero or the villain. Maybe it's something way more powerful than that. Maybe it's a mirror. It has no character of its own. It just reflects the character of whoever is holding it. So the real question isn't what is money? The real question is, what does it reflect about you, about us?